After failing the mission, I altered everyone's memories. I truly made Helen become their wife and mother. Then started a new life, got married, and had children. 5 years passed when suddenly the system's prompt sounded in my ears. Host, the original target has gone mad. He's regained his memories and is coming to find you with your son right now. Turning around, I saw Oliver and his son blocking the entrance to my studio, their faces dark with anger. Why did you abandon us? Why does everyone say our wife and mother is Helen? 1. The system notification chimed just as I was on the phone with my precious son. Lucas said his teacher taught them how to bake bread today, and he secretly brought one home to share with mommy. On the other end of the line, Gabriel pretended to be upset. Why didn't you save any for daddy? Daddy can eat too, but mommy has to eat first. Lucas spoke in that adorable baby voice, and I couldn't help but laugh out loud. The smile had barely formed on my face when suddenly, the familiar system alert sounded in my ears. Warning, warning, target out of control. The system's tone was full of apology. Host, I'm sorry. The original target has gone out of control. He's regained his memories and is now coming to find you with your son. It was indeed my work error. If you need, I can arrange a free death escape for you. You can go to another world and start anew. Death escape. 5 years ago, when I discovered Oliver had an unattainable white moonlight, and even our son preferred her as mother, I truly considered death escape. But now, I look at the heartwarming family photo on my phone's lock screen and shake my head. No need. My life now is good enough. The love I once thought unattainable has become my everyday reality, and I don't want to let it go. 2. I am a conqueror. 12 years ago, I received a mission to come to this world and conquer the male lead Oliver. Only if he gave up on the female lead and fell in love with me could I return to my original world and be reborn. At that time, I had suddenly met with an accident, leaving my body in a vegetative state. I had no choice but to carry out the mission. The system said Oliver was an SS-level protagonist, difficult to sway. To win him over, I became a certified nutritionist and prepared him customized meals without repeating a dish for 3 months. When he broke his leg for the female lead, I comforted him, stayed by his side, and helped him through rehabilitation. Finally, a year later, he proposed to me, saying meeting me was the salvation of his life. In the 2nd year of our marriage, I gave birth to our first child. I named him Philip, symbolizing lifelong joy. In the 3rd year, when the baby turned 1, Oliver held my hand and said he hoped we could grow old together surrounded by generations of descendants. I thought the system had malfunctioned by not notifying me of the mission's completion, and I even considered living out a happy life in this world as it was. Until one ordinary midnight, when Oliver's WeChat remained logged in on his computer. Oliver, I'm back in the country. After all these years, I've finally realized what I truly want. This time, can we make it work? The message was from Helen, the original female lead of this world. She was also Oliver's unattainable white moonlight. 7 years ago, she abandoned Oliver to go abroad. Oliver raced his car in a desperate attempt to win her back, only to crash and break both legs. I accompanied him through a full year of rehabilitation. I thought they had long severed ties, but it turns out their connection had been flowing quietly like a steady stream. The message was sent in their childhood friends group chat, where those brothers who usually affectionately called me sister-in-law were now teasing in the chat. Not easy, Oliver. You two lovebirds have finally made it through. When we first got married, I had asked Oliver to add me to this group, but he said it was just for his childhood friends, and no one had added their family members. He also mentioned that I had met everyone in the group, just a bunch of guys chatting about nonsense. I clicked on the member list, and indeed, they were all people I had met before, except for Helen, the group admin. The profile picture was Helen herself, with her hair swept to one side, revealing her delicate profile as she quietly copied scriptures with her head bowed. Oliver's profile picture, coincidentally, was a page from a scripture. I once asked him why he used a scripture as his profile picture. It seemed so old-fashioned. He said it was to pray for blessings for me and our son. A surge of acid rose in my stomach as I stared at those elegant calligraphic characters, feeling nothing but disgust. Because of Helen's return, the group chat had been lively for quite a while. It wasn't until half an hour later that Oliver hesitantly popped up. Elizabeth has been very kind to me and my family. I can't bear to hurt her. Then do you like her? Not really. I didn't see the words can't bear to hurt, nor did I pay attention to the subsequent reactions in the group chat. All I saw was him saying he didn't like me. When Philip was 4 years old, I became pregnant with our second child. At that time, Oliver was locked in a power struggle with his eldest brother. To help him secure funding, I flew 80,000 kilometers a week, sleeping only 3 hours a day. The financing succeeded, but I suffered a miscarriage from overwork. In the hospital, Oliver held me in his arms, saying I was the person he loved most in his life. The most loved, yet not the most liked. For Oliver, love was about responsibility, about habit, but never about that flutter of the heart. Because there was no flutter, the system never once alerted me that the mission was complete. The truth of the matter came full circle in this moment. I opened their private chat again. Oliver cherished every conversation with Helen. In 15 years of knowing each other, he had never deleted a single chat record. 7 years ago, when we got married, Oliver sent her this message. I'm marrying someone else. Are you sure you won't come back? Helen replied to him, I have ideals I cannot abandon. 6 years ago, when Philip was just born, Oliver took a photo of the child and sent it to her. I surrender. You said you didn't want children, but if you come back, this will be our child. Helen, I will definitely treat him as my own son. Later, their conversations became more and more frequent. After 7 years of marriage, Oliver would take their son to visit her in Australia every year under the pretext of a vacation. They follow each other on all social media accounts. On Instagram, they look like the perfect loving family. His mother gave her the bracelet symbolizing the status of the Song family's daughter-in-law. Those childhood friends who usually joked about Oliver and me were secretly calling me a pitiful cuckoo who'd taken over the magpie's nest. I laughed in anger and asked the system, "Does this mean my mission failed? Can I fake my death and go to another world for a new mission? After 7 years of hard work, I don't want to end up heartbroken and return to being a vegetative state." The system hesitated. "Host, your current points aren't enough to travel to another dimension." But, perhaps feeling guilty for not reminding me earlier, it sounded apologetic. A few days ago, I saw the supervisor's plan. With the male lead's marriage, Helen's female protagonist story in this world has concluded. A new conquest target will appear in this world. If you successfully conquer a new target in this world, it will still count as mission completion. However, this time the target is SSS tier, making the conquest significantly more difficult. Does he have any white moonlight ex-girlfriends? No. He's a king male lead from a male-oriented narrative. Women don't exist in his heart. No women allowed. I've had enough of these so-called white moonlight and cinnabar mole obsessions. I'd rather conquer some cold-hearted brute. I had the system give me a new identity to start over. Before leaving, I used my last remaining points to alter everyone's memories in this world, making Helen truly become their wife, daughter-in-law, and sister-in-law. The system stammered. "Should we alter your son's memories as well?" "Alter them too." Not long after Oliver sent that message, Philip texted him, "I heard Aunt Helen has returned to the country. Dad, can Aunt Helen be my mom instead? She's so pretty and knows everything, unlike Mom who only has a bachelor's degree. Even Henry's mom next door has a master's." Father and son, one on a business trip, the other at summer camp, separated by thousands of miles, yet longing for the same woman. Grievances surged into the night, consumed by flames into absurdity. I pulled out the family photo from my wallet, lit it on fire, and tossed the lighter behind me, burning this home and their passports to ashes. 3. After that, I accepted the system's mission to begin conquering this world's noob king male lead, Gabriel. Gabriel was indeed difficult to conquer, but fortunately, he had a heart. Every increase in affection points manifested visibly through him. The first time, when he was being hunted in the deep mountains, I saved him, and he said, "Other than money, I won't repay you in any other way." There was no signal in the mountains. The next day, when he couldn't transfer money via his phone, his affection level was forced to rise by 10%, and he chopped all the firewood in my yard clean. Later, when I took a bullet for him, his affection level rose by 30%. He knew full well I did it on purpose, yet he still used all his resources to turn the mastermind inside out. When the affection level reached 80%, he proposed to me, saying, "Elizabeth, I know you might have ulterior motives, but I don't care. Marry me, and I'll make all your motives come true. Marriage, children, being with someone who truly loves you makes everything seem effortless." When passion reached its peak, I asked Gabriel, "Why do you love me?" He caressed my hair with tender eyes. "Because I couldn't help myself." That was the first time I realized that liking someone is about being unable to resist, not about being reluctant. On the phone, Gabriel was still asking if I'd be back for dinner. Over the years, I'd started my own studio. Work had gotten busier, and my appetite had grown worse. Only when Gabriel cooks with his own hands can I truly enjoy a meal. "I'll be back for dinner, but I want crayfish." "All right, I'll make it for you." Gabriel's tone was dripping with affection. After another round of sweet nothings, we finally hung up. Turning around, I found Oliver standing at the entrance of my studio with Philip by his side, their gazes dark and stormy. 5 years had passed. Philip had grown taller, and that expression of his was becoming more and more like Oliver's. The 11-year-old boy stood at the doorway of my studio, looking down at me, and asked, "Mom, who are you talking to on the phone just now?" Oliver, standing nearby, remained silent and didn't intervene. Clearly, he was curious too. I locked the screen and slipped the phone into my bag. "This is my private matter. And you've mistaken me for someone else, classmate. I'm not your mother." Philip apparently didn't expect me to deny knowing him. Shocked, he stepped forward and grabbed my arm. "You're not mistaken. You are my mother." "Mom, I've missed you so much. Why won't you acknowledge me?" As he spoke, tears welled up in the boy's eyes, and he clung to me, beginning to act spoiled. 5 minutes passed, and I remained unmoved, even growing visibly impatient at his persistent clinging. Philip finally couldn't take it anymore. He snatched my purse and frantically searched for proof that I was his mother. When he opened the wallet, his photo was no longer inside. Unlocking my phone, he found the passcode was no longer his birthday. I had erased all traces of him, and all over the moment I decided to start life anew. I even had the system replace his chromosomes with Helen's. He couldn't find any evidence to prove I was his mother. All the relatives, friends, and even everyone in the world would only remember Helen as the Song family's daughter-in-law. As for me, I was just a complete stranger with no connection to them. Philip broke down in tears. I picked up my bag and glanced at Oliver beside me. "Sir, you're the child's parent, right? You should teach your child properly after they're born. Randomly going through a stranger's personal belongings isn't behavior befitting a well-raised child. I have something to attend to later. Could you please take your son back home?" Before I could finish speaking, Oliver frantically covered my mouth. With eyes rimmed red, he demanded of me, Why? Why did you abandon us? Why does everyone say our mother is Helen? 5. The physical disparity between men and women is innate. Despite struggling for what felt like ages, I couldn't break free from Oliver's grasp. Just about to take a bite, the phone in the bag rang, playing the pretentious singing of Gabriel and his son. Daddy, has the moon gone home since the sun came out? That's right. Where does the sun go when the stars come out? In the sky. The sun, the stars, and the moon are a lucky family. This was our family's performance of Lucky Trio at this year's Kindergarten Arts Festival. At first, I didn't want to set it as my ringtone, but that kid Lucas threatened me while lying on Bruce. If I didn't set it, he said he'd run away from home with Bruce. I'm not worried about him. The king male lead son has mercenaries secretly protecting him even when he goes out to play in the sand. But Bruce is really too old. I worry about his frail old limbs suffering hardships outside. Hearing the bell, Philip, who was squatting on the ground, stopped crying, while Oliver also showed an inexplicable look of joy. Is this the Lucky Trio? Elizabeth, you must miss us too. You must miss this home as well, right? Otherwise you wouldn't have used this song as your ringtone. Rolling my eyes skyward, I shook my head and brushed off his hand. My apologies, I said. My husband and son are completely tone deaf. You must be laughing at us. With that, I pulled out my phone and answered Lucas's call. Sweetie, what's wrong? Are you missing mommy? My tone was so sugary, even I found it nauseating. On the other end of the line, my 5-year-old clearly froze, thinking I'd caught him committing some terrible crime, and stammered. Mommy, you know already? I didn't mean to scare Mary with a grasshopper. Dad said fried grasshoppers are delicious, so I wanted to share with her. What? You scared a girl with grasshoppers. As expected, no mother can stay gentle for more than 5 seconds. No wonder his homeroom teacher sent me a message today only to recall it. Seems she's given up on my hopeless son. I snapped irritably. Let your dad answer the phone. What kind of father teaches his son to give grasshoppers to female classmates? Gabriel didn't have time to answer. Oliver snatched my phone and smashed it on the ground. What precious lover. Elizabeth, your beloved son is right here. 6. The air froze for half a minute. The fury faded from my face as cold indifference crept back. I too had once smashed Oliver's phone. It was when I discovered he'd saved my contact as Ms. Elizabeth. At that time, the father and son had just returned from Australia. Philip was infected with a foreign virus and developed a high fever, his temperature soaring to 40 degrees. He kept murmuring incoherently, Helen, Helen. Thinking it was stomach pain, I massaged his belly while calling Oliver. The phone rang, but Oliver was in the garden without his mobile. As I approached to hand it to him, I clearly saw the caller ID, Ms. Elizabeth. I am Lady Elizabeth. But how could I be Lady Elizabeth on this phone? Just 3 months ago, I was still wife. My intuition tells me the reason for this change lies within the phone. I picked up the phone, entered my birthday, and failed to unlock it. Our wedding anniversary. Unlock failed. Failed to unlock all occasions. Son's birthday, mother-in-law's birthday, Oliver's birthday. Oliver happened to return to the room and saw me going through his phone, his brows furrowing. What are you doing? Our son got infected with a foreign virus. The family doctor said he needs to be hospitalized immediately. Give me your phone first. Why did my contact name change? Give me your phone right now. In the scuffle, I flung the phone to the ground. Why do you take our son to Australia every year? Why can your mother go, your father go, even all your childhood friends can go, but I can't? Why has my contact name been changed to Ms. Elizabeth? Back then, I thought it was just a system glitch. I had already staked my entire life on this family. For 6 years of marriage, Oliver took our son to Australia for vacation every year, yet never once was willing to bring me along. The vast southern hemisphere seemed to have become my forbidden land. I could travel to England for negotiations, visit exhibitions in France, or participate in aid projects in Africa. Yet Australia alone remained off limits. And for all this, there wasn't even a reason given. Unease and confusion drained me of strength. I crouched on the ground and burst into loud sobs. Oliver walked up to me, looking down at me from a superior height. Elizabeth, stop being hysterical. It's unbecoming. How unbecoming exactly? My thoughts snapped back to the present as I looked at Oliver, now disheveled and furious. Truly unbecoming. Years of memory disorders had taken their toll on Oliver's mental state. Dark circles under his eyes, his frame having shrunk an entire size. Perhaps to recognize me, he was still wearing the suit I had custom-made for him 5 years ago. His once broad shoulders now looked hollow in the oversized jacket, making him appear like a scrawny chick. Hearing me call him ugly, Oliver's pupils shrank as he stared at me in disbelief. Elizabeth, what are you saying? I didn't answer, simply summoning security. While they restrained him, I slipped away unnoticed. Thank you for teaching me that not all questions can be answered. Behind me, Oliver and his son were still shouting. Elizabeth, have you lost your memory too? We really are your family. We're your husband and son. Security Captain David was a mercenary discharged from Gabriel's team. A slap landed squarely on his face. Brain damaged. Returning home, I found Gabriel shirtless, wearing nothing but an apron while cooking crayfish in the kitchen. Hearing me enter, he peeked out and greeted me with exaggerated fawning. Welcome home, wifey. Made 3 flavors of crayfish today. Garlic butter, salted egg yolk, and spicy Sichuan style. Got all your favorites covered. Lucas came trotting over to help me carry my bag. They all thought the sudden disconnection was because I got angry. The mouth-watering aroma of lobster wafted into my nose as I stepped into the kitchen. Next time, don't teach our son all that nonsense. Back then you ate grasshoppers because times were tough, but now with all the pollution, don't go ruining your stomach one day. Gabriel nodded. Understood, my dear wife. 7. That night, Gabriel pinned me to the bed and whispered in my ear. Heard someone was bothering you today? My body tensed up. And no. I immediately wanted to slap myself after saying that. David was his man. Oliver and his son probably had their arrival in the compound reported the moment they stepped in. Gabriel played with a strand of my hair teasingly. No, they're just two unrelated people. I didn't mention it because I didn't want you to worry. Defeated, I buried myself in his arms, making up for it with coquettish affection. When I accepted the mission, the system warned me that lies and concealment were cardinal sins when dealing with Gabriel. Those who emerge from darkness despise betrayal most of all. But those 7 years with Oliver left me with deep scars. I could never again surrender my body and soul completely to any man. Gabriel's hand moved from my neck to my waist. Unrelated people. Darling, are you sure? How come I heard the younger one calls you mommy and the older one calls you wife? His large palm tightened around my waist as the man bit into my collarbone, leaving a mark that belonged only to him. Who are those two people? Have we crossed paths before? All this had likely been thoroughly investigated by Lucas when he called me the second time. Gabriel found nothing, but I instinctively lied, a deception that angered him far more than the truth ever could. Mud churned beneath us as emotions collided and erupted in the darkness. He covered my mouth like Oliver did, his knuckles slightly parted, allowing only muffled, instinctive whimpers to escape. When the first ray of morning sunlight streamed into the bedroom, Gabriel leaned down and took my earlobe between his lips. Elizabeth, don't let me find out you've lied to me. Otherwise, I don't know what I might do. Gabriel loves me deeply. The system clearly told me that his affection level for me is 99%. But 5 years have passed, and that remaining 1% shows no sign of budging. I don't even know where the problem lies. He can completely turn his back to me, tolerate all my affectations, and even die for me. Yet he simply cannot give me his whole heart. Unless the conquest progress reaches 100%, I cannot leave. The next day when I woke up again, Gabriel had already gone out to take care of business. On the dining table were my favorite strawberry milk and a grudging apology note. I shouldn't have bitten you last night, but you shouldn't have instinctively hidden things from me either. We're even. I don't want to argue with you. Bring you a little cake when I come back tonight. Darling, don't be mad at me. At the end of the text, there was also a pleading dwarf drawn, clearly something Lucas had forced him to write. I can just picture the father and son teaming up early in the morning to write their self-criticism reports, scratching their heads with those adorable, frustrated expressions. Yesterday's unhappiness vanished without a trace. I folded the note, about to call Gabriel to soothe his anxious heart, when my phone suddenly rang. A voice both unfamiliar and familiar came through the line. Excuse me, is this Ms. Elizabeth? Would you be available for a chat? 8. It felt unfamiliar because I had never communicated with her face-to-face before. Familiar because, in that night's chat logs, I had listened to too many of her voice messages. In the VIP room of the family empire, Helen was dressed in a Chanel suit, her expression warm and friendly. Seeing me arrive, he quickly signaled his assistant to come forward and take my bag. Lady Elizabeth, am I correct? I heard my husband and son went to see you yesterday. I'm really sorry. Over the years, I've been so caught up with work that I neglected them, causing some confusion in their memories. They keep insisting their wife and mother is someone named Elizabeth. Tell me, she said, pouring me a cup of tea with searching eyes. To be honest, it's nothing to laugh at. They've mistaken so many people over the years. I have to deal with this kind of thing several times a year. In the end, it's our fault. I apologize to you on behalf of my husband and son. The teacups clinked together as she drained the delicate, fragrant Longjing tea in one gulp. I know why she wants to see me today. When the system informed me that Oliver and his son had regained their memories, I guessed that Helen, as the original female lead of this world, must also have some memory fragments resurfacing. In the quiet of midnight, she probably often dreams of her past. In those dreams, she was full of aspirations but achieved nothing, mistaking pearls for fish eyes. The identity, status, and wealth she now possesses all belong to another woman. She is merely the third party in someone else's marriage. Countless paternity tests were conducted, yet her husband and son still insist that their wife and mother is someone else. Over time, even she began to feel somewhat dazed. The original mistress of the Song family, it seems, was truly named Elizabeth. I took a sip of the tea and set it down. No need for apologies. Yesterday, I lost my temper and threw your husband and child out of the compound. If there's nothing else, I'll be going now. My husband and the others are waiting for me. You have a husband? Hearing that I was married, Helen's expression momentarily faltered, unable to conceal her delight. When did you get married? Do you have children yet? As she spoke, she deliberately brushed her hair back with her diamond-ringed hand, feigning nonchalance. I just felt an instant connection with Miss Tang, so I showed some concern. Watching her flustered state, I suddenly felt a wave of sorrow. I used to be just like her, consumed by deep internal struggles and unease because my husband kept his distance and my son wanted another woman as his mother. The father and son would always disappear for periods without explanation, as if they had another home in some place unknown to me. All things in this world come full circle. The forbidden land from 12 years ago has traversed the tunnel of time and now frames Helen of the present. Helen looked at me with hopeful eyes. We got married 5 years ago, and our child is already 5. Hearing this, she let out a long sigh of relief. The subsequent dinner proceeded with unusual harmony. Helen had once wronged me, but I also made sure she'd spend the rest of her life bearing the consequences in other ways. She mentioned how filial Philip was, how he'd specially prepared heating pads for her knowing she suffered monthly stomach pains. I said Lucas was the same. He'd even gone to learn from his father how to make brown sugar ginger tea for that very purpose. I can't possibly finish 2 bowls of brown sugar water every month. Can't finish it, just can't. Helen looked embarrassed. Just as we were about to agree that we were both happy and would leave each other's families undisturbed, the private room door swung open. Oliver stormed in, holding Philip's hand, his face filled with anger. Who told you to come and bother her? 9 minutes ago, Philip was still the perfect filial son in Helen's eyes. 1 minute later, the boy was kicking and punching the woman. You're trying to tear our family apart again. It was because of your mom that ours left us in the first place. You're just a homewrecker. It's all your fault. All your fault. Helen's face drained of color as she lost all composure, shoving Philip away violently. Enough, she cried. Your father, your mother, even the housekeeper. They've all told you I'm your wife, your mother, yet you refuse to believe it. We've done paternity tests every single month. For half the year, you're out there searching for that Elizabeth. Tell me, is it that you don't believe we're family? Or is it that you can't accept Elizabeth has nothing to do with you? Tears kept streaming from her eyes. The same breakdown I had experienced was now happening to her again after 5 years. I pulled out a tissue, wanting to wipe her tears away. Oliver stopped me abruptly. Don't go. She's emotionally unstable right now. Be careful she doesn't hurt you. Because I was afraid she would hurt me. That's why I wouldn't let myself get close. Was it also for this reason back then that you wouldn't let me set foot in Australia? How ironic. I handed Helen a tissue, turned around, and slapped Oliver across the face. You executioner. You're disgusting. If I hadn't left back then, but stayed to confront them, would he have treated me the same way he treated Helen? If he likes you, he protects you to the extreme. If not, you're discarded like a dirty rag, not even worth a glance. The thought that I once considered spending the rest of my life with such a person makes the rest of my life seem bleak. Grabbing my bag, I fled the scene. I never want to have anything to do with such a person again. The Oliver father and son, seeing me run, quickly chased after me, panting heavily as they stopped at the villa's entrance. Elizabeth, you might not believe this. The memories of everyone in this world have been altered, including your own. 5 years ago, we really were a family. You truly were my wife and Philip's mother. Philip stepped forward at the right moment and wrapped his arms around mine. Mommy, please don't abandon Philip. Philip will be very good from now on. I wanted to tell them I hadn't lost my memory, that I was the one who altered everyone's memories. A dog's bark sounded as Lucas's sweet, milky voice piped up beside us. Mom, do you have another child behind Dad's back? 10. On the landscaped path outside the villa, Gabriel stood holding a cake, with Lucas and Bruce by his side, his expression unreadable. I told Oliver from our very first meeting that I was already married, that I now had my own beloved and children. Yet they refused to believe me. Now with the whole family standing before them alive and well, Oliver looked at me and spoke with difficulty. Who are they? I stepped forward, linking arms with Gabriel on my left and taking Lucas' hand with my right. Let me introduce you. This is my husband, my child, and our family dog. Hearing itself being introduced, Bruce barked twice, startling Philip into immediately shrinking back. Actually, Philip used to adore Bruce the most. The 6-month-old baby couldn't be soothed, only stopping his cries when the family puppy brought over a jingling bell. When Philip was 3 years old, he was bullied by older kids in the neighborhood. Bruce endured beatings from that household, limping as he protected his little master. At age 4, Philip suddenly told me he was allergic to dog fur. How could someone develop allergies after living with a dog for 4 years? I insisted on taking him to the hospital for tests, but Oliver stopped me. Which is more important, the child or the dog? A single sentence decided Bruce's fate. Later, when I saw the chat logs, I realized it wasn't Philip who was allergic to dog hair. It was Helen. They sent Bruce away simply because Helen found dog hair on their clothes that year. Dogs remember kindness, but never hold grudges. When guests arrived at the house, Bruce instinctively wagged his tail in greeting. I patted Bruce's head. Silly dog, Oliver murmured with trembling lips. Is this Bruce? Yes, I brought him home. Bruce was the puppy we adopted together on our wedding day. Back then, Oliver joked that this was our eldest son. But before his white moonlight, even an eldest son is just a dog. At this point, what else could Oliver not understand? I took back my old dog. I remember the past. It's not that I didn't know we were once family. I just didn't want them anymore. The dog left those who didn't love it and found a new home with a new family. Oliver let out a self-deprecating laugh and resignedly led Philip to stand on the other side of the greenbelt, forcing a polite smile. It seems we really mistook you for someone else. Philip widened his eyes to protest, but was forcibly taken away by Oliver. 11 months later, Oliver sent me a letter. In it, he told me he had transferred all his shares to me. This was what I deserved. Helen could no longer distinguish memories from reality and was admitted to a nursing home. Philip severed ties with the Song family and went to England. At the end of the letter, he wished me happiness for the rest of my life, saying this belated blessing was his way of making amends, just as I had once blessed their union. May my future be filled with joy and my true love remain by my side forever. Clutching this letter, I sat on the rooftop with Bruce for a long, long time. The distant city lights twinkle like stars beneath the high-hanging moon, while the unique clamor of this world fills my ears. 12 years have passed since I arrived here. I've had 2 husbands and given birth to 2 children. Have my parents aged 12 years as well? The breeze tousled stray hairs, and a large hand gently tucked them behind my ear. Gabriel sat beside me with a small cake. You're unhappy? I wasn't angry about what happened earlier, alright? Maybe just a little. But if you explain, I'll believe you. He's always like this. Though he's a top mafia boss who commands absolute obedience outside, in this game of love, he's still willing to play the loser for me. Oh no, I should say it's precisely because of the inequality in our material status that he chooses to play the loser. Because he fears my unease, my hesitation. Gender inequality is all too common in modern relationships, yet he kneels down, sheathes his edge, and balances this unsteady scale for me. I held him close, my voice muffled. I was married before, I figured, and had a child with someone else. I know. Gabriel hugged me back. If this was what you were hiding before, then I can forgive you. If you miss that child, you can bring them to live with us. Everyone has a past. All I want is your present and future. But Elizabeth, does your future truly have me in it? I froze, looking up at him. His dark pupils were filled with starlight and deep affection. I know you're not from this world. I know you'll leave once the conquest progress reaches 100%. Fireworks exploded in my mind. I proposed because I couldn't hold back. I have my career. You have your life. I thought, even if you leave later, there'd be no regrets. As long as you're happy, as long as you desire it, as long as I'm able. But Elizabeth, the man murmured, his palm caressing my cheek. I can't bear to let you go. It was like one early morning when I saw your and Lucas's peaceful sleeping faces, and suddenly, I didn't want to release you. My past life was all about leveling up and defeating monsters, until I met you and had a home. The system prompt suddenly sounded at this moment. Successfully conquered. Conquest progress 100%. Does the host wish to leave this world? Gabriel let out a bitter laugh. Go back, Elizabeth. 5 years is enough. 1 week later, in a bustling 21st century shopping mall, I was taking 2 elderly people shopping for clothes. Since the mission was completed, the system rewarded me with ample material benefits. I booked my parents into the best rehabilitation center and purchased the most secure pension savings plan for them. That easily startled system sounded the alarm again. Danger, danger, dimensional breach detected. Host, it's bad. Your big BKing husband and little BKing son have torn through the dimensional barrier and are coming for you. Your system keeps getting breached. Are you sure there's no problem here? Turning around, I saw Gabriel holding crayfish, Lucas carrying a small cake, and Bruce clutching my purse between his teeth with a dark expression. You actually left when we told you to go? You really wouldn't have come back if we hadn't come looking for you? On the other end of the line, Gabriel pretended to be upset. Of course I would have, I said, still startled by the system's miscalculation, that compensation allowing me to travel to any dimension. I'd always planned to settle my parents first before going to find them. Lucas puffed up with anger. I poked him and pointed at my parents. Called them Grandpa and Grandma. Grandpa, Grandma. Gabriel, meeting his in-laws for the first time, was at a loss. Bruce wagged his tail furiously with big, watery eyes. In this world, I finally had a complete family.